AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Hey, this is Paul Menard, and you're listening to The Front Stretch.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That is karting with a K. Get to Joe's today for fast-paced, white-knuckle racing that you can only experience at the Metro's only indoor karting facility.
What is this, the second to last week before we make a huge announcement later on in the show?
Yep. It's we're getting down to the end of the regular season shows. We've got today, obviously Homestead later today. I do believe I can go out on a limb and say we're going to have a sixth-time champion crowned today. Barring an engine blowing on lap 2, I think that's pretty much locked up. And then we got the recap show on the 24th. We'll talk about the dirt season, your kind of opinion on some of the things that have happened in the dirt world, and then our feelings on the 2013 NASCAR Series season, and then we'll kind of talk about maybe some changes we'd like to see for 2014, and then it's the big time. December 1st is the first show, and we'll announce in Turn 4 what we're going to be talking about, who we're going to be talking about for the Legends of the Dirt Series.
You don't want to miss that, people.
Brought it back year number 2, and frankly, I was worried that we weren't going to have enough good drivers left after last year. Scott Bloomquist, Sammy Swindell, all these guys, and everyone's assuring me that because I'm a little naive when it comes to some of these drivers, but we hit it on the head, I think. I think we've got a fantastic list. In Turn 4, Lee Ackerman from the Omaha World Herald is going to join us and talk about that. But before we get to all of that, in Turn 1, big announcement made earlier this week on Facebook. Mark Pace, a sprint car driver locally, number 32, is that right, bud?
31 or 30. Mark, what number is it?
How about we ask him, yeah.
That'd be 31.
All right, 31. Driver of the 31 sprint car announced retirement from dirt racing. Mark, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day and talking about this a little bit. Can you shed a little light on what's going on with the retirement plans?
Well, thanks for having me on. I've just gotten to the point in my life and career, I guess, that it's time to spend a lot more time with my children and maybe go camping, things like that. Racing takes a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort on multiple levels, so it's just time to kind of back out and see my kids.
So now that you're not going to be throwing all your money at a four-wheeled sprint car, you going to go buy an island or something?
Well, if you knew me, I've got a lot of hobbies, so that will all be spread around, no problem. So I do a lot of I'm kind of an adventurous, so I've got a BMW motorcycle that I just kind of drive to the end of my driveway and figure out if I'm going to go right or left, and I come back 15 or 20 days later. So
Is it kind of like the Mary Chapin Carpenter song, Heads Carolina, Tails California?
Yeah,
pretty much. I kind of I like the long way down, a long way around series, where I just put everything I own on my bike for a little while, and I just go see the world.
Can you take us through the process? This is obviously a decision that you've probably put a lot of thought into. Was it simply the lack of being able to spend time with your kids is what kind of took you over the top and decided, hey, I need to retire and enjoy the golden years of my family?
Yeah, it's probably one of the hardest decisions I've made because if you're a racer, it's just, it's a disease. You have it. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to live with it. And racing's something that I've wanted to do since I was 4 or 5 years old, listening to Indy 500 with my dad. So, I was fortunate enough to live in Lincoln, Nebraska, around some great racetracks, and was able to have friends that loved to go there. So, I've been racing and going to it all my life, and like I said, it's one of the hardest decisions I think I've had to make, but I really need to spend time with the kids, another midlife crisis, I guess. I just turned 44, so, and the kids aren't getting any younger, and, I travel for a business, so I'm gone, 6-7 months out of the year, and, sprint cars has kind of just turned into a hobby for me, where I do it 6 to 10, 12 times a year, whatever I can make time for, and I feel I'm just, I'm competitive at the start of the year, but then I have to leave for a month or two, and I'm, I don't like to come back and not be competitive as I like. Especially for my crew and and all the guys that put in all this time and effort to, make me safe and make me go fast, to not put in the results, it kind of bums me out, and it bums them out too. So I think I'm just going to step away for a little while and kind of enjoy traveling again, and spend time with my kids, take them skiing like we used to, and things like that. So
when you say you want to step away for a while, do you want to step away from the sport completely and not even go watch some of the races, or are you just stepping away from being a team owner, a driver, stuff like that?
Well, that's a good question too, because it's hard for me to go watch a sprint car go around the racetrack or modified or anything and not be in it. I mean, it's very hard. So I think I'll still go out to the track. I've made a lot of good friends and apparently have a decent amount of fans. So I mean, it's nice to see all these people and talk to them. I mean, guys like Eldon Roden just passed away. I mean, people like that you need to go see, because they're not going to be around much longer, and they're all over the pits, and people need to give them the respect and attention they deserve. I think there's a lot of unsung heroes out at the racetracks and the pits that never get acknowledged, and I think I like to go and talk to those guys. At least they talk to me now. When I first started, I couldn't get anybody to even say hi to me because I was a competitor or the new guy that was going to crash them or something. But over the years, people finally open up, and it's just a big family. So I've got 2 cars. I've got a lot of great equipment, and, I'm going to discuss it with my crew chief, John Reichschneider, and, maybe I should put a young gun in there, or maybe I just sell it and step away for a year. I haven't really got that far yet. It's difficult to get away from it. So
what is the biggest thing about it that you are going to miss? Either that or, what's your biggest favorite memory being a driver in the sprint car?
I think the hardest part is going to be, like after the races when everybody comes down to the pits and has a beer. And some of my favorite moments, I think, were one of them I put John Reichschneider, my crew chief, on his birthday. I gave him a surprise and put him in my race car for a night, And it was we weren't really in the points because I had to leave, so I just kind of dropped the bombshell on him a week before and didn't really tell anybody, and he went out and ran 9th. I was like, well, maybe he should be in the car, But for all the hard work and time that him and his family, I mean, he keeps my race cars, my trailer, everything at his house, and for all that's the least I can do, and I still owe him another 100 times in the car the way I look at it, but. And I think another one of my favorite memories I would think would be I had a big crash at Devil's Bowl, and I broke my neck and all kinds of good stuff. And Roger Hayden called me up, and he said, I heard you're getting out of it, but I heard you have a car still. Why don't you come out and run a few hot laps, during the driver's meeting? And I said, oh, okay, let's do that. So I came out there, and we unloaded the car, and a lot of people came over and said hi. And so they get done with hot laps, and I suit up, and I jump in the car, and they push me up to the push-off lane. And I about crapped my pants. I was like, there's 10,000 people over there, and what if I can't do this? So it was pretty fun because I went out there and I went around the track 3 or 4 laps and got a standing ovation from all the crew and everything that's helped me in all my other crashes and the fans. And then they just told me on the headset, lay into it, and I put it to the floor and did about 5 laps and just had a ball. I pulled in and said, boys, we're racing. And we were back in it. So that was probably one of the best nights to see all those people that, you don't, they're just faces to you, and a lot of them, but to have all those people, just really appreciate you. That was pretty cool.
There's a lot of aspects to dirt racing, and right now, obviously, everything's winding down, so now's the time that you're making the announcement. Come February and March, when it's typically time to start preparing for the racing to come, do you think that's going to be the hardest time for you to realize that you're not doing it this year, this isn't it? Or do you think maybe in that time you'll think, well, maybe I'll just do it one more year?
Well, that's kind of funny because my cars are always ready to go by Christmas. So by Christmas I'll be sitting there freaking out probably. But yeah, I always go down to Devil's Bowl and race the Spring Nationals. I'm usually in Australia till mid-March or so, and I come back and John and the guys, Bubba and all the boys, they've got a brand new car sitting there ready for me, and we load it up and head right down to, spring weather down there and have a ball. So that's going to be a little hard for me. But, what I'll probably do is I'll probably go skiing then or something, So.
Well, if you've got cars there that are usually ready before Christmas, and if you're retiring as a driver, that's what you're announcing here on the front stretch this morning, what's the chances of possibly putting, with the right sponsorship and a right driver, you owning the team, but maybe having a driver race for you so that there's still a Mark Pace vehicle out there?
I'd love to do that, but I'm
ready.
Fund everything. I've only got, I had a sponsor this year. Everything else is just a couple $1,000s here and there, so it's all out of my pocket. So if a sponsor came along and wanted to throw some money at it, I'd love to put a Stu Snyder or Jordan Boston or, one of the young guns in there that, isn't 44 years old and, realizes that it actually hurts when you crash.
Talking to Mark Pace here on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs. Mark's announcing his tentative, we're going to call it tentative retirement.
Tentative, yes.
Because I think Mark Martin has announced his retirement about 6 times. We're going to talk to Kenny Schrader, who you'll find out through the interview didn't really announce his retirement, his plans to draw back a little bit. But, Mark, I guess the question I have for you is, and excuse me for not knowing this, but I assume, and you know what they say about assuming, but that you race 360s?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever consider racing a 305?
I really haven't. I went from go-karts right into a 360 sprint car because I wasn't very smart, and I don't think I'd want to. I mean, they say they're going pretty fast and everything. I haven't actually been out to see them. I've been too busy, and I'd love to. But, in 5 years from now, I'm thinking maybe I'd just keep my seat, and keep going to the gym so I can fit in it and see what happens. But my kids are 14 and 11, and I've got, 5 or 6 more years before they don't like me anymore. So I need to concentrate on them, I believe. So
yeah, but after that, they come back around to you, though, right? There's that 16 to 22 that they hate you, but then they realize that you're going to probably pay for college, and so they start liking you again.
Well, that's when I need to go racing, so I spend all their inheritance and the college money again.
With all this joking around,
maybe we'll call this a 5-year retirement.
With all this joking around, one serious question I do want to ask you. This year in 2013, on Saturday nights, I quit racing Eagle Weekly, and lo and behold, I'm not going to say I was getting burned out, but I was getting stressed out, just night in and night out, racing and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I went fishing with my son, or we went camping, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, there was other stuff outside of racing to do. Do you think, even though you're retiring, do you still think it's important for today's drivers, no matter what class, to balance their racing life with stuff that they'd like to do outside of racing?
Oh, I totally agree. That's the problem with the racing from the tuners, up to NASCARs. It sucks the life out of you. You just don't have any time. I mean, the biggest complaint from all the NASCAR families and everything else is the time that they're having to work and they don't see their family. So, camping's a lot of fun. I used to camp, every weekend. I climb mountains and go camping up there. Well, I haven't done that recently because it's the race car, and I'm actually pretty fortunate because I'm gone so much working that I've got such a good crew. They won't even let me touch my own car anymore. They put it together, they set it up, and if I come in there and I even grab a wrench out of the toolbox, there I got Bubba, who's about 6'2", standing over my shoulder, going, "What are you doing, Mark?" So
you don't touch that.
So, but I think it's important that go out. If you're a young racer, you still got to have you got to still grow up and go out and party and have fun.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
We're talking with Mark Pace here on the front stretch, announcing his retirement. Mark, we appreciate your time this morning to sit down and kind of chat with us a little bit. On your way out the door of the dirt track community, is there some people you want to thank?
Boy, pretty much like to thank everybody because I've had a really good ride, but I need to thank like John and Donna Reifschneider, lifelong friends. He's the one that keeps me safe. He's the one that builds the, safe race cars. He knows everything about it. Bubba Burner, he is the complaint department. He's the big guy that, if there's any problems, you go see Bubba. And Todd Joyce is a good friend. He's been helping me out. Mike Siegelman over the years. Kurt Hawley, some of these guys. I've got a list a mile long. We just don't have that much time. But, I just like to thank everybody who's, helped us out along the way and just been friends to us,
Well, Mark, we're going to miss you out at the racetrack, and best of luck in the new life of retirement. And when you get bored, come on out and join us at the track some night.
You know I will. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, have a great weekend. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, thanks.
And that was Mark Pace, driver of the, dang it, I've already forgot, 31 sprint car.
Mark Pace, driver of the number 31 360 sprint car.
Throughout all of our listening area. Mark announcing his retirement earlier this week via Facebook, and just his announcement kind of the words he used made it seem, it was a very heavy decision for him. It wasn't something he took lightly.
It's not like he just woke up, had a cup of Joe in the morning and said, you know what, I'm going to retire from racing. But you know what I love about Mark and what shows that he's a class act? He mentions his kids.
Yeah.
He's not going out to go do other stuff. The biggest priority for him right now is his kids. He wants to spend more time with his kids, probably because, maybe, I don't know. I like the college idea that you brought up. They're going to, racing does take a lot of time away from your family and whatnot. And, my son's 9 years old, but the last 5 years I've watched him grow up. And it was 2013. I started hunting and fishing and camping with him. And wow, it was fun.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, not an easy decision for Mark.
Well, let's talk about another guy who's going to be retiring. Ken Schrader is going to join us on the front stretch in turn 2. We'll be right back here on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308-383-9609. 308-383.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
We're working the high line into turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
Heading into turn 2, and on the phone with us is the soon-to-be retired or semi-retired Kenny Schrader, driver of the Federated Auto Parts car and owner of Kenny Schrader Racing. Kenny, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having us on, sir.
Kenny, it's been a couple of months since we got to talk to you last. You were over here for the Silver Dollar Nationals, and if you can, kind of if you can remember that race, kind of talk about what went on during the Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway.
Well, what a beautiful facility that the Krasinski's got there, and then that race in particular, when they have the Lucas Oil late models along with the USMTS modifieds. Either one of them is a full show. In its own right, and to combine them together. I remember we saw some real good late model racing, some good modified racing. I think we kind of struggled. I think we run eighth or ninth, somewhere around there, and got tore up one. And we saw an unbelievable performance put in by Ryan Gustin.
Mm-hmm.
Just unbelievable talent that got him to the front, and a lot of enthusiasm that got him knocked out also, but just showed what we can expect from him farther down the road in our sport. But that was quite the weekend.
Yeah, it was. It was a fantastic time, and it was really cool to see somebody like you who has been such a big contributor to not only the dirt world but also the asphalt NASCAR world. And sad news for Buddy and I. We heard you're announcing your retirement after today. You're done racing at Homestead Miami Speedway. Is going to be your final Cup race. Can you kind of elaborate as far as what your retirement's going to be?
Well, it's a long way from retired. I'm just going someplace else on the weekends. We're going to run the dirt car a lot more. I mean, I ran it I think 66 nights so far this year, and still got a couple more races. Still going to run the truck every now and then. Going to run the ARCA car with the Federated Auto Parts name on it all the time. Run it quite a bit more. So, we'll be a 80 to 90 race year. There just won't be any cup races.
So then, will there be some nationwide mixed in, or are you mainly going to focus on ARCA and truck?
It'd be ARCA, more ARCA than anything. A truck race here and there, but no nationwide, but mainly ARCA.
We've seen some Cup drivers, and I'll bring up Rusty Wallace as an example of when they decided they were retiring from Cup, they retired pretty much altogether. And Rusty went into more of, I want to call it a promoter role, where he's out kind of promoting NASCAR and being a great ambassador for our sport. We see kind of both aspects of it. So when you've decided to kind of draw back, you've decided to still, like you said, you're still going to be racing 60, 70 nights a year. Was there any consideration to just draw back altogether and just say, I'm gonna kind of be a spectator for the rest of my life?
Oh, that was never considered. Yeah. They're gonna have to be carrying me to my grave before I can quit doing this willingly.
Yeah.
So that was never considered. One thing we have seen a lot of is guys saying they were going to retire and then just didn't.
It's tough to get away from that.
Back.
Yeah, it's tough to get away from that competition. We see it in all sports, but in NASCAR, you guys at least have the ability to wind down.
Yeah, well, and we've always run so many other races that hey, I'm just doing something. I'm only going to run this. Today will be my 10th Cup race this year, so it's not like it was a full-time gig anyway. But that 10 races took 10 weekends, and that cost me 20 races with my dirt car. So that's what we're trying to work around.
Yeah, you talk about your all your NASCAR career. You've raced in the Nationwide Series. Obviously, you've raced since 1984 in the Cup Series, Camp and Roll Truck Series, and you've raced for a lot of organizations and some pretty historic organizations. Obviously, the Wood Brothers, BAM Racing, Hendrick Motorsports, Langley Racing. Can you pick one organization that you felt you really clicked with and you had a lot of fun working with that organization?
No, I really can't just pick one, because I was very fortunate. I had a lot of good people. Starting with Elmo and Mr. Donlevy for 3 years, and Hendrick Motorsports and Andy Petrie, and I drove the M&M car at MB2 and the Morgenthaus, and I couldn't just pick one. We were blessed with some really good people to work with. And I don't think I've had any more fun than I've had these last couple of years with Frankie and Heidi Stoddard in the Fast Lane racing car.
Is it a much more relaxed atmosphere later in your career, or do you still feel the pressure of making sure you get out there and perform every week?
Well, the budget dictates the pressure, and we've had a lot of fun here with Frankie and Heidi, and we appreciate Federated Auto Parts being on it, but we understand where we fall in the food chain, and we're a 28th to 32nd place finishing car, unfortunately. Now, we know that going in, you can live with it, so it's definitely less pressure.
You've had a lot of great memories in your NASCAR career. Obviously, like I said, mentioned getting started in '84 in the Cup Series. Is there one memory that stands above the rest?
Oh, I hope it's today. We've had some neat stuff happen. We've had some bad stuff happen. It just doesn't make any difference. At the end of the day, you load up and you get ready for next week. And that's the same thing we're going to do day after race. The only difference is next week is Cotton Bowl Speedway in Page, Texas for a 2-day IMCA modified race. So I mean, it's the same thing. It's when you leave that day, it's over.
You're retiring from the Cup Series today, and this isn't like somebody retiring from the NFL, MLB, because there isn't another level they can go to and continue to race and be competitive at. Is there any kind of a retirement party, or has anyone been playing retirement jokes on you because you formally said that this is going to be it for me in the Cup Series?
Well, first off, we weren't even going to say anything. I was just talking with Alan Bestwick at Martinsville on top of the truck during practice, and known Alan very good. He does such a good job in our sport. And, we were just shooting bull, and he said, "What about next year?" And I said, "Homestead's it, baby. I'm out of here." And then he announced it, and I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, I've got big plans. I rode my motorcycle to Homestead, and I'm getting on it as soon as that race is over, and I'm riding it to Texas too. So. No parties or nothing.
So I guess I need to just quit calling it a retirement party. It's just basically...
I'm just changing jobs.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm just giving up my Sunday job.
Okay, I'll quit that then. You'll be able to relax on Sundays and be able to play more in the dirt on Saturday nights, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Earlier this year, you became the, and you like to use the word oldest on this show, you became the wisest driver to claim a pole in a NASCAR-sanctioned event at Eldora, and you're going to continue to run the trucks. Talk about that Eldora race. There was a lot of buzz about it. You were very competitive in it for quite a while there, and are you excited about the future for that? Do you think maybe NASCAR will be able to add a couple more dirt tracks to the truck series and maybe even to the Nationwide or Cup Series?
Well, I don't think they're looking at adding a bunch of races. I know there's been some conversations with one other track. The problem is there's very few dirt tracks out there that we can slip in and put 20,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, this has to be able to make financial sense. So, that was phenomenal. I've talked to a lot of people that were there, and also a lot of people watched on TV, and I haven't got anything but good feedback from that. And I just really got to take my hat off to Tony for wanting to do it and rolling the dice on it, and for NASCAR to do it. I mean, that was a big gamble.
It was a huge gamble because if a rainstorm rolled in the night before, it's not like an asphalt where they can pull out the air tighten machine or the jet dryers and get things clean. If a storm rolled in, the whole thing was done.
We could have had enough rain on there. It would have never bothered it, believe me.
Really?
The track was hard enough that it would have run right off. If we'd have had an inch of rain the night before, it would have not messed with Wednesday's schedule. We would have been fine.
Yeah, that takes my theory out the window then.
Yeah, no, they were prepared, so they did an excellent job. And I talked to Roger Slack that runs Eldora Speedway the other day, and a few things they're going to try to do to make next year's race even better. And I think they're right on target there. So looking forward to going back there.
Let's talk about 2014, the big thing all of us around this area want to know. Joe Koziski out at I-80 Speedway has already said he's paying $30,000 to the winner of the Silver Dollar Nationals for 2014. Can we see that 32 federated, the number 9 federated auto parts modified out there?
He's paying what now?
$30,000
for the late models, though, right?
That's correct. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay, we haven't got next year's schedule done yet because of waiting for the ARCA schedule to come out and stuff. But it was definitely a race we enjoyed, and I think it's July 17th, 18th, 19th next year.
Yep.
And if we can be there, we will be.
Well, we hope to see you there. I definitely enjoyed talking to you in the pits, and it was a lot of fun kind of getting to know you a little bit when we were at Quaker Steak and Lube for the Silver Dollar Nationals meet and greet, and we hope that we can have you join us again next year.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing everybody out there. I would imagine we'll be there.
All right, Kenny. Well, keep turning left, and we love watching your race, and we appreciate your time up on coming and joining us on the front stretch.
Sounds good, sir. Thank you for having us.
All right, have a good weekend, bud.
All right, bye.
Bye. That was Kenny Schrader, driver of the number 32, number 9. He's drove so many different cars over the years. We'll return in turn 3. Bud's going to join us back in the studio, and we will continue with the front stretch here on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Football means it's time for Quaker Steak and Lube. Don't miss your favorite college or pro team with the area's best wings, ribs, burgers, and more. During the games, get a lube tube and a bucket, just $24.95. $10 lube tube, $9 domestic bucket, or a 24-pack of boneless wings, just $12.99. Kick off your game day with a $4 Bloody Mary or margarita. Football is here, and your season headquarters is once again Quaker Steak and Lube. NASCAR fans, don't forget every race all the way up to the end of the chase is at your local racing headquarters, Quaker Steak and Lube, next to the Mid-America Center, Council Bluffs.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Heading into turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white-knuckle racing, we're the only speed restriction
is how fast you are.
Get to Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, 23rd Ave. Find directions on Google Maps because really MapQuest is just terrible. I'm going to endorse it.
It is.
It's terrible. Just use Google Maps or go to joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
You know what else you want to use Google Maps for?
What's that?
Finding our next guest.
Ooh, where is our next guest located at right now, sir?
Craig Armstrong of Iowa Speedway on the phone. How you doing, Mr. Armstrong?
I'm doing terrific, and listen, guys, it almost makes you wish we were a whole bunch closer to 2014, the season, than we are. But listen, we've got a good plan in place, and we are poised, I think, for what arguably will just be a powerhouse season, the best of the best coming away of the Iowa Speedway fans. And for those of you who don't know where Iowa Speedway is located, we're just about dead center in your neighboring state to the east. We are in Newton, Iowa, which is about 30 miles east of Des Moines, right off of Interstate 80 at exit 168. If you can't find us, you're going to need a white cane. At that point. So,
it really is. I mean, all you got to do is just hop on the interstate, head east, and you're going to see the Speedway.
If I remember
there's
right.
no two ways about it. You know, that's a great thing about the Omaha area is once you find I-80 or find your way to I-80, you can't miss it. I mean, you are going to almost literally run over the top of it. So we're very fortunate to be in a great location and in a community who absolutely loves us, and in a state that has embraced us as well as the upper Midwest in general. So we feel pretty blessed to be where we are, and looking forward to our, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This will be our 9th, believe it or not, our 9th season. It hardly seems possible. I was here when Iowa Speedway was still just a hole in the ground and had been a cornfield the previous year. So it's pretty amazing to think of the transformation that happened, and then, of course, this beautiful multi-million-dollar motorsports entertainment facility rising out of an Iowa cornfield and doing such great things and entertaining the fans of motorsports up here in the upper Midwest. So we're delighted, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Joining us on the phone now, Craig Armstrong, Director of Communications for Iowa Speedway, and you guys released your schedule earlier this year. Very excited about it. Let's talk about that. You got your first races coming up in middle of May.
Yeah, that is correct. We're back to starting in May again. This last year we didn't start our racing until June, and it just seemed to take forever from winter to racing season. So I think backing it up a little bit spreads out the events a little better. And as I kind of prefaced it, we're looking at the best of the best in 2014. We have 3 powerhouse weekends, 6 events, two NASCAR Nationwide Series races. You mentioned the 17th and 18th of the middle of May. That's our kickoff weekend. That will be the only Saturday-Sunday combination we have in 2014. Saturday night the 17th with the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East versus West Challenge. That'll be a 150-lap shootout under the lights. And then Sunday afternoon, the 18th, that's the day after the All-Star race in Charlotte. So we'll have center stage, so to speak, with one of the rare Sunday afternoon NASCAR Nationwide Series on their schedule races. So we're excited about that opening, and a lot of folks have given us a big thumbs up for that particular format, kind of going back to the original schedule we had in 2007. Our 2006 season, of course, our opening year was a short season, started on September 15th and ended on the 1st of October. So we didn't have a long opening season, so to speak. Our first full season was 2007, and we did open with this same combination. But at that time, the K&N Pro Series East-West was our premier race. So we've come a long way, baby. You
guys really have.
And of course, the Nationwide Series will be running 250 laps on our 7/8 mile Rusty Wallace designed tri-oval. And it will be another great shootout with all the stars and cars of the Nationwide Series. So great way to open. Our middle race is arguably one of the more exciting events we have come forward with because we have packaged it so differently than we've ever done before. Now, it's not unprecedented to couple the IndyCar Series with the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Texas has done it, and done it very, very successfully for several years. But it's a new concept for us. So we've kind of double whammied this thing. We've triple whammied it. We've moved it from the IndyCar race from its traditional third weekend in June date to the middle of July. This weekend will be Friday and Saturday, July 11th and 12th, with the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series kicking off the weekend with their 200-lap race. And that will be, of course, the American Ethanol 200 on Friday night, the 11th. That'll be under the lights, of course. And then Saturday night, back to a Saturday night format. Let me tell you, that was what IndyCar fans said, resoundingly. Guys, run it on Saturday night. Yep. When they hit those titanium skid plates in turn 1 and 2, and the sparks are flying, and literally the fireworks are happening on the track, that's what we want to see.
That was the first race I got to see at Iowa Speedway, was an IndyCar race, and it set me up for exactly what I wanted to see. It was amazing. It's beautiful. It's glorious, and I'm excited about that.
Well, I have this theory, and I'm kind of a theater buff myself anyway, is that, when you run a night race, especially at a facility like ours where you can see everything, and it's a relatively small format type of a racetrack, so you're not having to strain to look or use field glasses to see where the cars are on the track. It's almost like a great big stage. And the night sky becomes the proscenium of the stage, and the lights focus your attention on what's happening on the track. So I really get excited about night racing, especially when you talk about the Indy cars when they're traveling at average speeds approaching 190 miles an hour around that track. It's like watching bees in a ball jar, but kind of a bees in a ball jar on steroids.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing show. And we've done one more thing. Not only moved it to Saturday night again, we've also extended the race by 50 laps. So it is now the Iowa Corn Indy 300. We have 300 laps. And there were many reasons for that. Again, listening to our race fans, they're very clear that they really wanted a longer show. 250 laps is fine for stock cars, but when you're going as fast as those Indy cars are, 250 laps, unless you get a lot of cautions, can be over in a blink of an eye.
Literally, it can be over in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, quite literally true.
Yeah.
And so adding that extra 50 laps will extend the afternoon into evening. It'll extend that race day a little bit more, give our race fans a little bit more to watch, completely change up the strategy. These guys coming back here, they're going to have to think in terms of 300, not 250. They've got all the data for their 250 laps. Kind of all bets are off now, and they'll be really setting a new baseline. So couple that with under the lights again on a Saturday night in the middle of July. This is going to be some kind of show, and I am so excited about that, as are the folks at the Iowa Corn Growers Association, the Iowa Corn Promotion Board, everybody, American Ethanol, and of course, being able to take our American Ethanol 200 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race and pair it up with the Iowa Corn Indy 300 this year. What a great weekend, because that literally becomes kind of an all-ethanol weekend. I mean, we're really promoting ethanol and helping our sponsors kind of double up, because obviously Iowa in the Midwest provides so much of the corn that goes into the production of ethanol, and the Indy cars are running on I guess generically known as E85, 85% ethanol, 15% gasoline. The exact opposite, of course, with the trucks, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series running on 15% ethanol, 85% gas. And, of course, as you probably well know, that 15% ethanol blend has been now approved for passenger car use. So this is a great opportunity for consumers to see the power and performance of ethanol in one weekend. And so we're really happy from a lot of different standpoints. From the standpoint of our spectators and fans, they're going to get a hell of a show, and of course our sponsors are going to get an opportunity to really magnify their promotional messages and their messaging. So
now we head into probably the best month of the year, which is August. You can't get any better month than that. And you guys have
not in the Midwest anyway. I grant you that. And we're going to kick off the month of August with yet another round of the NASCAR Nationwide Series in a 250-lap contest on a Saturday night under the lights, and of course the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East-West Challenge race with 150 laps on Friday night, and tie it up together with a bow. That leads right into, of course, Knoxville Speed Week, and the Knoxville Nationals will be happening, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it'll be the following weekend. And it's just a great time to be in the Midwest, in this part of the Midwest, to see some of these great shows, and with all the NASCAR entertainment that we have, and we're now in the process of trying to put together some new concerts to complement each of these 3 weekends, to really extend and expand and enhance the fan experience, and give everybody the maximum amount of entertainment.
Listen, if you guys are interested, I play a mean air guitar. I'm more than happy to come play a pre-show for you guys.
Well, we're probably going to do something, in the North End bar tent with either karaoke or dueling pianos or something like that on our supporting race nights.
Oh, you mentioned karaoke, and Buddy's all fired up now.
Oh yeah, and I had fun doing that too. And then we're going to be putting together a good concert series for the other ones.
Right.
And then just doing a lot of other things, just enhancing that fan experience, giving people the opportunity to come out for 2 days rather than just one, and giving them the campers that do come in droves, and they're there by Wednesday afternoon or Thursday, ready to rock. So giving them that opportunity. But I'll tell you, it does one other thing. When you really package this thing together, again, we've got the best of the best in these 3 big weekends. People have lives beyond, those of us in racing find it hard to believe that people actually have lives beyond racing. and some of them who are race fans like to go to other racetracks as well. So we feel that this gives our season ticket holders the opportunity to go on vacation, to go to the kids' soccer games on weekends that might have been otherwise taken up with perhaps not as big of events as we have. You can extend and stretch out your season as long as you want to, but our opinion is if you really want to deliver the maximum amount of value to your season ticket holders and to your ticket buyers in general, give them the best, and then let them also experience their weekly short tracks and the other motorsports entertainment throughout the Midwest, too. So,
speaking of those season ticket holders, talking with Craig Armstrong of Iowa Speedway. Craig, how do people get season tickets to Iowa Speedway?
Well, the good news is right now you can get season tickets in a variety of ways. The 3 primary, of course, are to go online. Anybody that's computer literate enough to operate Facebook and whatever else can easily navigate our website at iowaspeedway.com. Our season tickets for the entire, the 6 events 3 big event weekends start at just $95. And the most you can pay is $249 for the upper grandstand, the best seats in the house, if you will.
Now wait a minute.
Now we're giving.
Is that $249? Is that for all 6 races?
That's for all 6 races. Yes.
Good.
That's a 17% discount on individual race tickets if you bought them that way. Plus, every season ticket holder gets a fan walk pass to the Casey's General Store's fan walk at all events. That in and of itself is $60 because it's $10 per day. So you start doing the math, and you get your season ticket holder rewards card for discounts on products and services from our sponsors, pre-race access for many of our events, an opportunity to be a part of the pre-race ceremonies. If you're a season ticket holder, you get all of those discounts. I mean, it's almost like it's the best deal in motorsports entertainment, certainly in this part of the country. So we really encourage you to do so. Now, we are giving our current season ticket holders till the 14th of December to renew the seats that they are in. However, there's still plenty of great seats besides those. After the 14th, any seats that aren't renewed by current season ticket holders will be up for grabs for anybody. But I quite frankly think we're going to have a virtually 100% renewal, and we've got a lot of folks that are calling us that are new to the concept of being a season ticket holder. And quite frankly, many of them are saying, hey, thanks for not making us buy 5 event weekends like you did last year. You know, you've basically put this thing together as the best combination and given us what we really want. We don't want a lot of filler. We want the good stuff. You know,
this is
here it is, folks.
It's a great schedule, and I'm very excited about the 2014 schedule. I think tentatively, so far, Buddy and I are planning to be there May 18th. Hopefully, if you guys welcome us back, we'll do the show live again for the NASCAR Camping World Series 250 laps on May 18th. We'll do the show live again and get to talk to all the great people over there. iowaspeedway.com or
866 Rusty Go, which translates to 787-8946. Or if you happen to be traveling on the I-80 coming this way, get off at exit 168 in Iowa. Come on into our ticket office, which is open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 3 on Saturday, along with our gift shop. We'll be happy to take care of you. But really, for most folks, I think iowaspeedway.com is the best way to go. Season tickets available, season parking available, and if you want the special parking places or camping on site, also available online or at our toll-free and here in the office. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible, and they do make great holiday gifts. So be thinking in terms of the race fan in your family, and it might just be you.
Yes, bud. They make great holiday gifts. Hint.
Indeed, they do.
Hint, buddy. For maybe your favorite co-host of all time.
You're going to buy me a 6-day or a 6-weekend pass?
I'll buy you a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to buy a 6-pack if I go to Newton. I can go to Newton and tailgate and get it for free.
Craig Armstrong of Iowa Speedway. Craig, we love having you on. You're always welcome, and we can't wait to see you guys again in 2014.
We are certainly looking forward to 2014, and obviously to welcoming our friends at the front stretch to coming out and being a part of the show and broadcasting your show from here as well. So, guys, have a great holiday season. Thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit about my favorite topic, Iowa Speedway, and here's to a great 2014.
Absolutely. Thanks, Craig. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Do the same. Thanks.
Probably my favorite NASCAR track. I've said it, and I don't think I can make it any more simple. This is a dirt track feel with NASCAR action.
Well, you mentioned when we were in Kansas that Iowa is a lot like Newton Speedway is a lot like Kansas Speedway. But if you want the Cup feel, you go to Kansas.
Yeah.
If you want a NASCAR experience with the dirt track feel, you're absolutely right. It's a tight, intimate 7/8 mile track at Newton. It's not too big, but it's not too small. There's a little bit of mixture, and it's not really one-lane racing all the time. There's multiple grooves, multiple racing. Newton's got it right.
Yep.
Hopefully, in the next 5 years, we see a Cup racer. I think a Cup race would be awesome on a 7/8 mile track.
I'm here in 2015. Now, there's a lot of stars that are aligning for this to happen. NASCAR's getting their new TV contracts. They can renegotiate with certain tracks.
But I think the infrastructure would have to have some work because they would have to add quite a few seats to
Absolutely.
Newton.
The moment you've all been waiting for. It's moments away. We will announce the 2013/2014 Legends of the Dirt Series drivers that we're going to be interviewing during the offseason.
Spoiler alert, I'm not on it this year.
Lee Ackerman will be joining us in Turn 4. We'll be right back here on the Front Stretch.
This week's Legend of Tomorrow on the Front Stretch is Ashley Schaff. Ashley races her sports mod at I-80 Speedway and finished 7th in points in her rookie season. Ashley started the season wanting to keep her nose clean and log as many laps as possible. Mission accomplished. She finished the season without a single DNF. Ashley got her start in a cage kart at Little Sunset and worked her way up to the ranks to a 206 animal class. Ashley plans on running sport mods for a few more years, eventually making her move to A-Mod. Her career dream is to run in the USMTS. Keep your eye out for Ashley Schaff. She's this week's Legend of Tomorrow on the Front Stretch.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
This is Ben Fetzer, tire carrier for the 12 Penske Ford. You're listening to the Front Stretch.
Heading into Turn 4 here on the Front Stretch, presented by Kosiski Auto Parts, online at KosiskiAutoParts.com. You can also check them out on Facebook. But the easiest way, get over to 51st and I Street in Omaha and pick up your quality used parts from Team PRP. You can purchase a full warranty behind that used part, and it's single-handedly the best deal around. You buy a battery, you get a warranty. I think he said $40 is what Joe talked about for a brand new battery for your car, a used battery for your car, $40 with a warranty. And anytime that battery goes bad, you bring it into Kosiski Auto Parts, and he gives you a brand new one. He gives you a new one out of stock. It's just a simple numbers game. He gets so many cars in every single day that he needs something to do with these batteries. He's got thousands of them laying around. So get into Kosiski Auto Parts today, 51st and I Street.
See Andrew.
Pick yourself up a battery. Go talk to Andrew. Make sure to give him a little grief from us. And then we're just 2 weeks away from the turkey chase at the Lancaster Event Center. Am I right?
Yeah, my kinfolk down south are wanting to come up, and we're going to be going chasing turkeys around a track, you know. We catch these turkeys by the neck, and then we go feed them to the homeless. No, who am I kidding? In the studio today, we have guest Lee Ackerman. Lee, this turkey chase, this is something else. I mean, listen to this, folks.
It's a really good family event. It's a little different than your average race because the pits are indoors, and for 3 days the families and their friends are together and they compete against each other. And if you're walking around the pits, you're probably going to get run over by some wing scooters because kids 10, 12, 14-year-olds old are playing with wing scooters, playing football, and the next minute they're on their go-kart and get ready to race on the track. So it's just a really must-see family event. It's 29th and 30th November and 1st of December.
Be a great time. And Lee, you're joining us in studio today to release the off-season list of Legends of Tomorrow, and I talked about it earlier in the show that I was kind of worried with the list we had last year. Jimmy Owens, Scott Bloomquist, Sammy Swindell, Kyle Burke, Brian Burkhofer. I just felt like kicking something for some reason. That we had essentially hit all of the big names, and that we weren't going to be able to get close to that list again. That was my worry, and Joe and you, Lee, have really, and Buddy here has assured me that these guys are top of the line.
This list it gives me goosebumps when I'm doing a little research for you on short bios, and I think back to all the memories that these drivers have brought and who they are, and some of them are legends and some of them are icons. So it's really a stout list of drivers.
Well, let's start off and talk about that list a little bit. Let's start local. How's that sound? We'll get two of the big local names out of the way. Johnny the Jet Sadoff.
Johnny Sadoff still races. He's out of Beatrice. He's won the IMCA National Championship 4 times. I know he won the Duel in the Dirt out in Las Vegas a couple times. I think he's got a Is it 4 times?
4 times.
$50,000 to win down in Abilene, because I keep kidding him about getting me the information because I want to do a story on that and some other races. He used to actually drove for a number of years, drove late models. So he's got over 300 wins, and now he's a quality car builder. So, it's the whole deal.
Funny thing about Johnny Sadoff, you mentioned the Duel in the Desert. That was just last weekend. Jeremy Payne won the Duel in the Desert 4 years in a row, driving a Johnny the Jet modified.
Wow. Other names on the list for your local drivers. We're going to go with, let's talk about Doug Wolfgang.
Doug Wolfgang was one of my all-time favorites. I remember probably in '74 going to the Nebraska State Fair. They used to have sprint car races, and there was this young kid with glasses went flying off turn 3 in the number 91 car, and I thought, well, that kid's going to have to learn something. Well, he proceeded to post 500 wins in his career and won the Knoxville Nationals 5 times. And I was such a big Wolfgang fan that I had a guy at work that used to call me Wolfgang. So he's a legend and a truly, a fan favorite. So that's going to be a heck of a show.
Back out at Eagle back in, I think it was the mid-'80s when I started following dirt track racing, I met Wolfgang, if I remember right. There's really no other personality like him. Ever since he quit, there's no person. And when I say that, I mean that in a very good way, because there was lines of people waiting to meet Doug Wolfgang. I mean, you go to the dirt tracks now, and you'll see these big groups of guys around me, Jesse Sabe and Dylan Smith, but lines to meet Doug Wolfgang. I mean, he was special.
He was very special, and didn't say a lot, but he was a tenacious driver and really got some neat remembrances of Doug Wolfgang.
Next on the list, we're going to talk to Gary Webb.
Gary Webb is from Davenport, Iowa, the Davenport area. He's been driving for 30-some years. I think he's pretty well retired now. But he won, I think, 27 or 30 track championships, competed against Joe and Steve for many years in a Busch All-Star Tour, and was a 2-time UMP champion when they founded the United Midwest Promoters, which is based in Illinois. Gary won the first 2 championships, and then he won a couple NASCAR regional. In the second year, I believe he won 16 out of 18 races and won the national championship for NASCAR. And he was inducted into the National Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame in 2008.
Speaking of a couple of NASCAR drivers, we made sure to take care of some guys who have raced on asphalt. The first one, Jeff Purvis.
Jeff Purvis was, they used to call him, and I can't tell you exactly why. I always remember when they say Jeff Purvis, it's never nervous Jeff Purvis. And he did race a lot in NASCAR from about 88 or 89 on, mainly in the Nationwide Series. But for 8 years there, he was absolutely dynamite as a dirt late model driver. And I do stories monthly for a dirt late model called Blast from the Past, and one of them I do is to review what happened 30 years ago. In 1984, Jeff Purvis was dominating. He won the NDRA National Championship, which is a touring series, the World 100, the Springfield Mile, and just goes on. And then he's competing in these races against the best in the business.
And then continuing along that, we just talked to him today, but he's going to be on the list too, Kenny Schrader.
Kenny Schrader is he's just a neat guy. It's hard to fit a category. I mean, he's got over 1,000 NASCAR races, I'm sure, in the 3 divisions. But the thing that's neat about Kenny Schrader, he was at our Silver Dollar Nationals.
Yeah, driving
a USMTS modified. Mm-hmm. I went to Fargo 2 or 3 years ago, and Kenny Schrader won the USMTS National race. He's just loves to drive. And I found a picture on the internet the other day of his first championship in 1971 in St. Louis. So he's been around a long time.
The good news is when they started training him how to be a dirt track driver, they taught him how to turn left, not how to go east. He's not very good at going east. And the story behind that is
we'll tell you when we have him on. That's a hilarious story.
He still feels bad about that, too. Let's see. How about Ed Sanger?
Ed Sanger is really... we had a panel a couple years ago that I was head of at Knoxville during the Late Model Nationals, and it was the idea was to find out when was the golden age of dirt late model racing, and we decided it was late 70s, early 80s. Ed Sanger in the 70s and 80s was the first national, or one of the first national drivers that traveled all over. And I don't know, he has 600 or 700 wins, but Ed Sanger is going to be, he raced at Sunset many times, won the Spring Invitational, came in second in the Cornhusker Hawkeye 2 or 3 times. But Vans, you're going to enjoy Ed Sanger because he is a heck of a storyteller.
So far on our list, we're going to talk for the Legends of the Dirt series to Doug Wolfgang, Johnny the Jet Sadoff, Ed Sanger, Kenny Schrader, Gary Webb, Jeff Purvis, and let's add another couple of names to it. How about Bill Martin?
Bill Martin was a local favorite. He owned an apple. Him and his wife owned an apple farm over east of Council Bluffs, and he wasn't. It seemed to me that Bill was not racing all the time, full time, but when he did, he was a fan favorite. He won, I think, 3 Sunset Championships. Won the Cornhusker Hawkeye, the Spring. One of the best races I ever saw Bill Martin run was the 1974 NDR race at I-70. He ran second. And he was running against virtually the best drivers in the country. So heck of a driver.
Continuing on with the list, a guy who has won the Silver Dollar Nationals before, Don O'Neill.
Don O'Neill is a real character, and Joe and I had some fun at the trade show last year in Indianapolis with Don, and were able to spend a lot of quality time with him over a couple of brewskis talking about racing. But the year Don O'Neill won the Silver Dollar National, he also won the Dream 100, which is $100,000 to win at Eldora. He won the Knoxville Late Model Nationals, and he won the Dirt Track World Championship. And, I mean, he's won a lot of races, but that year he really put his A game on.
How about Freddie Smith?
Freddie Smith is one of my all-time favorites. Freddie Smith has won close to 800 races. He ran a couple NASCAR races. His dad actually was a mechanic for many, many years. In the early days of NASCAR, I believe it was Holman Moody. He's originally out of Kings Mountain, North Carolina, and I have a little personal, I guess, favoritism for him because I used to travel for 4 years. I think I made the loop to see my son in Charlotte, back up to see my aunt in Ohio, and I got to know Freddie's wife, and I used to take him popcorn all the time. But Freddie Smith is the only man to win the Dirt Track World Championship over 3 times. He's won it 5 times. And
wow.
His list of accomplishments, and they call him the Southern Gentleman, and he is truly one of the best ambassadors for dirt late model racing you'll ever find.
Excited to talk to him. John Anderson is next on our list.
John Anderson is an Omaha boy. He's probably kind of winding down his career. They just announced his 7-year tenure with Youngins Racing out of Manhattan is over with. During that time, he won 3 MLRA championships. I think he has 5 or 6 track championships. John is really a neat person. I've gotten to know John well. I know him and his wife, Lisa, do a lot with the Faith Group, and one of the stories we're going to have to talk to him about it was back in 2007 when he was racing down in southern Kansas, and how he made a 6.5-hour drive to Omaha to see 4 of his kids be baptized, his Faith kids. And then he got in the car and after a cat nap drove to Topeka and won the feature.
Whoa.
Finally, our 11th driver on the list, probably the driver that I have heard of the most, Steve Kinser.
Steve Kinser, you could write a book about. I mean, when you talk about, there's been a lot of great sprint car drivers. Nobody in any kind of racing even compares to Steve Kinser. And I feel fortunate that I've seen him win many races, but he was the won 20 World of Outlaw Sprint Car Championship. Now, that's national touring. That isn't a local track. The year that they kind of had to boycott some of the drivers, he won that series also. So his accomplishments defy logic because he has won so many times, and he's won in cars that were well put together, and he's won in cars that literally I don't know how he won the race.
He actually goes back to the time where he and Doug Wolfgang actually raced together.
Oh, absolutely. You were talking about Eagle Raceway back in the day, and I can remember standing in the pits probably around early 80s on the backstretch and watching the World Outlaws and Wolfgang, Sammy Swindell, and Steve Kinser battle it out for years. And they were going through traffic, and I do not know how they got through some of the holes they got through. All 3 of those guys were amazing. And of course, you guys had Sammy on last year, so we're going to finish it off with Wolfie and Kinser this year.
So let me ask you this: I'm going to put you on the spot. Greatest all-time sprint car driver, in your opinion, Kinser, Wolfgang?
It's got to be Kinser. I mean, Wolfgang was probably my personal favorite He really was. But you cannot argue with 21 national championships, 12 Knoxville national champions. I mean,
The numbers don't lie.
It defies. And, 1 year in 1987, I believe it was, he won 56 features. Well, this isn't 56 features running 2 or 3 of the local dirt tracks. This is 56 wins against the best competition in the country every year.
You think we'll ever have a sprint car driver like Kinzer again?
Absolutely not. I don't think they'll ever duplicate it.
That's interesting to hear. That's your list of 11 legends of the Dirt Series we're going to talk to. Once again, Bill Martin, Freddie Smith, Don O'Neill, Doug Wolfgang, John Anderson, Johnny Sadoff, Ed Sanger, Gary Webb, Kenny Schrader, Steve Kinzer, and Jeff Purvis. And if you're paying attention, you hear me say 11. Well, there's 12 weeks of shows that we're going to be doing in the offseason. And I want to say a personal thank you to Kaziski Auto Parts and Joe Kaziski and Lee Kaziski. These guys are stepping up once again and saying, guys, we want you to stay on the air during the off season. Just like with drivers, money's an issue for our show.
Yep.
We have to have money to stay on the air. The great sponsors that we've had throughout the entire year, FX Shocks, Eagle Raceway, I-80 Speedway, Kaziski Auto Parts, Quaker Steak and Lube, all of these
Shamrock.
guys, Kansas Speedway, Shamrock Limousine, all of these guys who have stepped up has kept us on the show. Exactly. Iowa Speedway, too, has kept us on the air. We're going to have a 12th show, and I am incredibly excited about this. I had about an hour conversation this afternoon. I called him and said, listen, can I get 5 minutes of your time? I want to talk to you about this. An hour later, I finally hung up with Craig Kelly, former promoter for Sunset Speedway. I approached Craig about the idea. You and I actually came up with the idea last year about doing this. Said we need to do a walk down Sunset Lane. And that's just what we're going to call it. And we're going to bring in as many Sunset drivers as we think people are going to hear from. We're going to talk about stories from Sunset Speedway. And just like Uncle Lee can sit there and tell us stories about staying in the pits at Eagle Raceway, the amount of stories that Lee could tell would take up an entire off season for a little Sunset.
We have our drivers lined up for a walk down Sunset Speedway?
Don't hold me to it, but we've got a tentative list so far. I got to get these guys booked, and it looks like we're going to be recording on January 22nd at Quaker Steak and Lube. That's a Wednesday. We're going to go down there at about 5 o'clock. We're going to start recording about 6 o'clock. We're going to talk to drivers like Glenn Roby, Bob Kaziski, Bill Rick. By the way, Lee, shocked me when you were able to pull that out. Craig Kelly kept talking about this Rick guy. And I emailed, I said, I don't know who this Rick guy he's talking about, but I never caught his last name. And Lee just right on it goes, oh, he's talking about Bill Rick.
You're going to love Bill Rick. He is a class individual, and really, I've gotten to know him pretty well. It's going to be a neat show. And Jim Wyman, I think, was the fourth one we're talking about.
Yep, Jim Wyman. So we're going to do, the first 2 turns is going to be about the early years, about what year did Sunset open up?
57.
57 to about 76. And then Craig Kelly's going to help moderate the entire thing, where we're going to go from 76 to its closing in 2000. We're going to try to get Dave Chase to come back out and talk about his time at Sunset Speedway. We're going to try to get Steve Kaziski out there, maybe Kyle Burke. We'll get the Marquette Missile to come down. We'll have Joe, we'll have Leon Zeitner, and we'll get all these guys to come and sit down at the table and talk with us.
Wow.
It's going to be an action. And listen, never are you going to get a chance to sit in the room with all of these guys. And the great thing is at 7 o'clock, 7:30, when we're done recording, we've wrapped the show up. It's not like these guys are going to disappear back to their houses. They sit down, and like we did last year with the Dirt Track Roundtable, we all sat there for about 2 hours afterwards, had a couple of beers. We sat there and laughed and joked in the Brickyard at Quaker Steak and Lube and had a great time.
There was all kinds of fans. I'll never forget that. There must have been, good Lord, 40 or 50 people that came out.
It was great.
More.
It was great.
And they just had a blast.
And it with this list of guys that we're going to have for the walk down Sunset Lane, there ought to be double, triple that. It ought to be a great time.
I truly believe there will be. I mean, everybody in Omaha, I talk to people almost on a weekly basis. Well, I don't go to the races, but I remember my dad taking me to Sunset.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people in Omaha, and they're going to hear the list of the people that are going to have on there. It's going to get a lot of attention, trust me, guys.
January 22nd is when we're going to do the recording. That's a Wednesday night. Get down to Quaker Steak and Lube. Obviously, throughout the entire off-season, we'll be talking about it. We'll be promoting it, and we'll create a Facebook page, an event page, and we'll promote the heck out of it and have a good time. And maybe we'll even get Joe's karting involved. Maybe we can all go over, and boy, it'd sure be fun to get some of these guys in a go-kart, wouldn't it?
Oh, they'd still beat you.
Oh, yeah. No. I ran a sub 15. I got game all of a sudden. Listen, we've gone way over time. We appreciate Lee. Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Lee's going to come in throughout the offseason and help us tell stories about some of these drivers. Head over to the Front Stretch Facebook page and catch the entire list. Get to Quaker Steak and Lube later on today. In case you didn't notice, we didn't talk a lick of NASCAR today. Homestead Miami Speedway. It all ends today. 36 races. One champion will be crowned. Any surprises? It's
No.
Jimmy Johnson has to finish 23rd or better, 24th or better if he leads a lap, 25th or better if he leads all laps, or the most laps. So the chances of that happening slim, but there's always a probability of it happening. Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs, the official watering hole of the Front Stretch. Thanks for the support. We'll be back next weekend. We're going to wrap it all up. We're going to put a big bow on the 2013 season, and we'll talk more about the Legends of the Dirt series. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week to do it again.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308-383-9609. 308-383.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.